First off, before we start, I just want to say Iceland is awesome. I want to go to Iceland. That looked amazing. I loved everything about Iceland. Like the actual place, not the people who were on the TV screen tonight. Like all the background stuff, incredible. Get me to Iceland ASAP. All right, now we can get back into this absolute dumpster fire of a show. So right out of the gate, we get this extremely funky edit to open the episode of Clayton saying that he's already in love with Susie. And as far as I remember, he's not said that to this point. And you could clearly hear the sound bits getting like spliced together, and definitely, absolutely 100% was not what Clayton said before going into this week. You know, it was just a weird way to set up the narrative for the episode. And why the franchise has decided that, hey, when we get to Fantasy Suites, everyone has to stay together. No, it's only a few seasons ago that at this point, like after Hometowns, you did not see the other contestants again until the rose ceremonies. And it's way, 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 way better. Like this is totally designed to ensure that we get as few happy endings as possible in this show. That doesn't include Clayton's 2 happy endings that he received this week. Those don't count. That's not what I mean when I say happy endings. Let's get into our dates. First up, Rachel. Rachel gets the first date for the week, which is great because it gives us more time to watch Susie spiral out of control, just like they do every season now. Of course, the one person who's having the most questions, the most concerns, they're going to go third. They're going to be left to stew. They're going to have to sit and watch the other people come back all happy and giddy about their dates. So Rachel gets the first date, and Clayton wants to see how deep they can go. Clearly no sexual innuendo there at all, right? And it's not too surprising with these two because their whole season has just been foreplay for the Fantasy Suites. Like there's no deep emotional connection there between these two. It's pure attraction. They've got the sexual chemistry, and they've been using that to all season long. From night one, like the build up has been exclusively to get to this point. So honestly, I don't really think that they needed to blow the budget on this date because these two, they just want to make out. They just want to be all over each other. They just want to fast forward through this date and get to the Fantasy Suite. Rachel, she was kind of looking for some reassurance after being the last one to receive a rose last week. And Clayton, he's all about handing out reassurance this week. So of course he tells Rachel that he's falling in love with her before they head to the Fantasy Suites. The entire dinner just seemed like they just recapped what had happened this season. And then like, all right, well, let's go have sex now. Well, this is great catching up. We better go have sex immediately because that's how deep our connection is. I liked like at the end, after the end of the date, Rachel comes back into the shared accommodations, and she's like, "Oh, I don't really want to talk about anything, but I do want to say sorry in advance to the other women." Just really, really appreciated that. It's like, how do I say I just had sex with Clayton without saying I had sex with Clayton? Saying sorry in advance, that does it. That definitely does it. Clayton just talking about how amazing his life would be with Rachel, how perfect they'd be together. And you know, if that's how you're feeling, if that's the case, then grab Rachel and walk off into the sunset with her. But we all know that's not what's going to happen. It just seems so silly that instead of seeing this perfect life together with Rachel, you want to go and try to sleep with two other women. You know, can't have something nice, I guess. On to Gabby, and right out of the gate, I was a little concerned because Gabby got the fun date. The fun date's always the one who goes home. Looks like the production was doing everything in their power, at least at the start of the date, to make sure this was by far the least romantic of our 3 dates. You know, they throw on their giant helmets, like can't even kiss, can't even see each other's faces, go drive around on the dune buggies. They get to go have their romantic conversation just in like a public cafe. Like everybody else gets like these romantic private settings. Clayton and Gabby, it's like, you guys can just go to this library, like whatever, just get out of here. Felt really bad for her because their relationship has actually grown. You know, their rate of relationship has actually improved as the season has gone on, and it's really unfortunate that, you know, the production crew is trying to make sure she doesn't get a fair shot here at the end. Even the whole editing, this felt like the fast forwarded date, like, oh, yep, Gabby's here, yep, fantasy suite, see you later. I really have enjoyed Gabby this season, and I honestly felt like a moment of dread when Clayton said that he was falling in love with her. Like I already like felt bad about the breakup for Gabby. Like, and we're not even to that point yet. Like as soon as that moment happened, just my heart just dropped, because we all know that she's not the one who's walking away with a happy ending here. And I really want her to walk away with the happy ending. But much like Rachel, everything is also perfect with Gabby. So why not jump into our 3rd date? See if we can go 3-on-3 with the I love yous, 3-on-3 for 3 with the fallen in loves, 3 for 3 with getting it on in the fantasy suite. Can Clayton pull off the trifecta? How about that moment? It's Susie spiraling while walking down a spiral staircase. Like, who thought of this? Like, who had the audacity to set that up? Like, this is perfect. Susie talking about spiraling, using the word spiraling while walking down a spiral staircase. It's just too much of a setup. Like, the whole production crew is just being too blatant at this point. Like, it's so blatant what they're doing. Like, they are trying to mess with these people's emotions. They are trying to ruin these relationships. This is all planned. This is all staged. And it was a success. Susie, just want to get this out of the way right now. It is way too late in the game to be deciding that you're not okay with Clayton sleeping with the other women. You have to express that beforehand so that he can make that decision. So he has an opportunity to make that decision. You didn't allow that. You did not express that. You know, we're hearing like Gabby say, like, yeah, I want him to explore his other options and still choose me. And that's saying that she accepts, like, hey, on this show, it's possible that the lead is going to sleep with more than one person. It's possible that somebody sleeps with a guy named Peter 4 times in a windmill, and then doesn't pick him. That's part of the show. That is something that happens on this show. So it is way too late in the game for this to be a conversation. Like you're doing it after. Like it almost felt like Susie set up a little bit of a trap for Clayton that he clearly was going to very willingly walk right into. Even on their date, like you could feel the nervousness and the awkwardness from Susie because she knew that she was going to have this conversation with him. You know, she'd been working up to this in her head all week long. You know, all that spiraling, all that thinking, it led to these moments. And you know, Clayton on the other side, he's thinking, wow, it felt so good to tell these other women that I was in love with him. It felt so good. I'm going to do it again. I'm a serial fall-in lover, and I'm going to tell Susie that I love her. Then we get to the dinner, and, you know, Clayton opens up, says I love you to Susie, and very shortly afterwards, Susie turns things back around on Clayton, and Clayton, he looked like a deer caught in the headlights. He was like, he didn't have an answer for her. You know, even the answers that he finally got out, they weren't much of an answers. It was mostly like, yeah, I slept with them, but I love you. So, yep. What was the line? I love you the most. Like, what does that even mean? Like how do you quantify your I love yous? Like, I love you like 35%. You know, it's still love, but it's not like Susie love, where Susie's getting like 85% love. Like, I don't even get it. In the end, just this turned into just such an impossible situation for both people. It's totally valid for Susie to feel the way that she does, and totally valid for her to not want to progress the relationship if Clayton has one, said I love you to either of the other two women, or had sex with either of the other two women. But as I said earlier, that conversation needed to happen before Fantasy Suites. It needed to happen 1-2 weeks ago, absolutely, so that, you know, Clayton wasn't put in this impossible situation. And then, so Susie walks away, they come back together, and we've got a totally different Clayton on our hands. He just turned into an absolute dickhead. Like, I don't know who that was. Was that our first glimpse at the real Clayton? Like, was that, like, I was not expecting Clayton to get mad and just terminate that relationship. He went from, you know, trying to fight to get Susie to stay, convince her to, you know, just go off camera, talk things through for 7 hours. See if you can figure things out, to we're done, see you later, get in the SUV and get the hell out of here. And Susie Susie did not owe Clayton an apology. Like, no, in that situation, she's there at the end apologizing to him. She did not owe that to him whatsoever. Based on what we saw in the previews, I don't think that the Susie storyline is totally closed. We'll have to see what all the fallout from this is going to be. Most dramatic finale ever, yeah, whatever. This is all just such a setup. Like, these relationships, we're not allowed to grow, not allowed to blossom. Clayton was basically tasked with figuring out everything this week. like sorting out all his emotions all this week while also potentially sleeping with them. He, like, in my opinion, wasn't at the point to make the decision about which one he was going to pick in the end before fantasy suites. And you want to avoid a mess like this, give him the opportunity to actually follow his love journey, get to the end of his love journey before fantasy suites. But why would production do that when they can set us up for this absolute disaster? I'm going to wrap things up there. I don't even know what I'm talking about at this point, so probably a good call to end the recap. As always, everybody, thank you so much for watching. And until the two-part finale next week, we will see you later. It's probably like my most dramatic recap ever.